Hello and welcome to my Flight of Nova VTOL flight guide. VTOL flight stands for vertical takeoff and landing, and in Flight of Nova it means the engines of your ship, which we see here, are pointed down to the ground as they are now. The thrusters of your ship are pointed down to the ground as they are now. And in cruise mode, your thrusters are pointing backwards, so you fly forwards. So for this video I am using a HOTAS or HOSAS setup. My throttle is the VKB omnithrottle. If you are using one of these for Flight of Nova, make sure to unspring the main axis of the throttle, which in my case is the y-axis, and probably in most people's cases will be the y-axis, because this makes it behave like a normal throttle, which is best for Flight of Nova. But this setup works for me in every space game I've tried. It's actually preferable to the main axis being sprung. On the right of the screen you can see my input visualizer. So that's my throttle at full and at empty, and this is my stick. So this is pushing my stick forward, my right stick, pulling my stick back, twist, and x-axis stick side to side, that's yaw. So twist controls roll, x-axis side to side controls yaw, and back and forward is pitch. However, you can customize this to whatever suits you. This is just my setup. So a quick guide to VTOL flight before we take off. So we're in a dark part of the planet at the moment. VTOL flight is not about max power all the time. It's about using the right amount of power from your throttle for the maneuver you want to do. And probably the first thing you're going to wonder as a player is, how do I just sort of stay at the same altitude? Because you'll be putting inputs into the throttle. Well, don't put inputs into the throttle. Just come to about 60% if you want to float. So I'll show you that now. So max throttle to sort of take off, and now we want to float here, so we'll just ease off on the throttle and float. The amount of power you have to put in the throttle to float will depend on different factors, because this game is a full Newtonian flight simulation with some adjustments to orbits to make them easier to fly, but it's essentially Newtonian flight. So everything is modelled, the atmosphere against my vessel, everything, surface area of the vessel, shape of the vessel. So now we're just sort of hovering around in VTOL. I'll show you the outside of the ship. So there it is. The engines are shooting down and we're hovering around. These ships do have control surfaces, but the control surfaces are not yet animated because Flight of Nova is an early access game and it's not yet complete. The core gameplay is here. The flight simulation, delivering cargo, search and investigation missions, orbital mechanics. You know, the core gameplay is here, but there's stuff yet to come. Now, so you want to go forward in VTOL mode. So to go forward you have to pitch down. Why do you have to pitch down? Well, it's like almost like a helicopter. You're the thrust, but except the thrust is coming from underneath you, so you have to point the thrust somehow a bit behind you to get forward momentum. Now you see this blue circle with 3 lines in it on my screen, moving around as I move around. Well, that is my vector indicator. That tells me the direction the ship is moving. It's very handy. Sometimes it's particularly handy in orbit, because you need to know your vector and, I suppose, anti-vector, but it's also handy sometimes in VTOL. So yeah, there are 3 modes of flight in this game. There's VTOL, cruise in atmosphere, and orbital flight. So what did I do then when I pitched up and sort of pointed my engines to the front of me? Well, I slowed right down. So that's a nice way of slowing down quickly in VTOL, sort of tipping yourself backwards. But you also slow down when the thrust is pointing upwards. Now descending, how do we descend? Well, you might think, well, just cut all the power, but then you're going to drop like a rock. What you want to do is be watching your environment, watching the buildings, and giving it just enough thrust to descend or ascend the degree you wish. So my landing gear is currently down. I should have put it up, but putting it up now. And landing gear down. The default in this game is to have the landing gear automatic, so you don't have to worry about landing gear if you're a new player and haven't played with the options. So I'm now going to land on this little pad here, just to show you how it's done. So we don't want speed, we want to take speed out. And how do we do that? Well, I bump the ground. Well, we point forward a little bit. There we go, we're down. Oh, we haven't landed properly. So yeah, not that I'm not, you know, the best pilot in this game. I still haven't done really many orbital flights at all. I've been playing for about 50 hours. But I love this game. It's one of the most addictive games you can play because of the feeling of satisfaction you get from attempting and overcoming obstacles. The obstacles of the game. Learning to fly, learning to land, learning to do all the things in the game. And then, once you've learned it all, you can enjoy it. It's just a playground. You can fly however you want and you can enjoy the intensely realistic and immersive simulation that is Flight of Nova. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you learn VTOL flight in Flight of Nova. Goodbye.